All right, y'all, we are back with another reaction video on Big Miklo Reacts. This one is going to be about LeBron James and the Lakers. It's called The Lakers Have Finally Turned on LeBron. As we all know, there's been a lot of turmoil between LeBron James and the Lakers. LeBron and Jeanie, his management, upper management, we've been going back and forth. Is he going to continue to be a Laker after this year? Is he going to retire? Is he going to go to New York? Is he going to go to Cleveland? Who knows at this point, but it sounds like there's been a lot of friction as of late, and this video is going to get right into it, so let's check it out.
Well, LeBron James is smack dab in his 8th NBA season with the Los Angeles Lakers. Shockingly now, twice as long as he spent with the Miami Heat. Would you believe that is just 3 years shy of the tenure that he had?
How crazy is it to think that LeBron's going to be a Laker about as long as he's been a Cavalier? That'll never sit right in my head to me. I will forever think of him as a Cavalier or a Heat player. For as long as I've been a Laker fan, it just still feels like LeBron is just kind of he doesn't feel like he's a Laker. Like I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is yet, but for whatever reason, he just doesn't, it just feels like he's just buying time here before he retires. That's really just how it's been the entire time. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, I don't know if it's LeBron's fault, if it's us as Laker fans, our fault for not fully embracing him. But for whatever reason, I don't know if I'll ever get used to that. I don't know if I'll ever consider it. I don't know if I'll ever fully grasp that idea.
Had with the Cleveland Cavaliers, his hometown team, which drafted him, and he of course spent 2 different stints with them for a grand total of 11 seasons. But yes, this is now year number 8 for the King in LA. And well, it does look like his time there is coming to an end. Following an absolute bombshell report coming from ESPN.com today, authored by Baxter Holmes, a staff reporter there. And within this article, of which I would definitely recommend.
Bro, what? Each one of these photos is him on the first page. What? Each one of these photos is him on the first page. What is he doing? Why does he have to come off like he's reading all these books all the time? I don't get it. I don't get it.
You reading the entire thing. The primary story details the infighting between the Buss family, primarily 6 siblings, but mainly the top 3 siblings of the hierarchy, led by Jeanie Buss. The infighting which led to the record sale of the team earlier this summer for $10 billion to Mark Walter.
Bag.
But of course, in the transaction, despite the fact that the Lakers ownership ceded from the Buss family to Mark Walter, Jeanie Buss retained her position as governor of the Los Angeles Lakers,
Kinda
a position
pointless.
which she still holds.
Her sticking around as governor is so pointless. I don't understand why Mark Walters would do that. She is so separated from basketball operations. So for her to have the final say on any potential trades, especially with it being like a known thing, she has favorites. It's a known thing. She loves Rui. She loves Austin. She's never going to want to trade those guys. So to have her in position of the final say, it's kind of pointless. I really hope Mark Walters is just keeping her there as I hope this just makes you feel good, but really you're just kind of there like as a kind of public figure to easy transition the team over. But other than that, let those guys and their analytics and their powerhouse upper management deal with that. I don't want Jeanie doing any of the basketball operations. She's just the PR for the team, and that's just how she should be.
Today, right as this article by Baxter Holmes hits the interwebs on ESPN.com. And guys, believe me when I tell you that this article is a doozy, and it paints a not so flattering picture of LeBron James, and in particular, the way Jeanie Buss felt about LeBron James almost from the very beginning of his involvement with the organization. Of course, he went there, remember, in the 2018-2019 NBA season.
I don't know how much I'm buying that. I don't know how much I really think LeBron was really that much in the mix, causing any sort of headaches in the front office. This all kind of sounds like part of the Buss side of things, where the brothers who are super dysfunctional right now at the moment, them trying to leak these stories and just trying to cause murky waters for everyone else who's still involved with the organization more than anything. I don't really put too much weight from all of a sudden. She's never been okay with doing business with LeBron James, like, or she's never been okay being in the LeBron James business. I find that extremely hard to believe.
And Jeanie Buss resented the implications, according to this article, that LeBron James was viewed as the savior of the Lakers. Obviously, a narrative that LeBron James helped to promote, no doubt.
In all
because
fairness,
sure, they did win the NBA championship in LeBron's second season with the LA Lakers, but many people just forget or outright gloss over the fact that the Lakers were pretty stinky in King James, the Lakers' savior's first season in LA. A season in which the Lakers went only 35-47 in. LeBron, of course, deactivated at the end of the season when it became glaringly apparent they weren't going to qualify for the playoffs. Then into year number 2, well, that is when good pal and agent Rich Paul intervened. Rich Paul and his agency Clutch Sports, that is. More on them in a moment. But yes, that's
the thing that people got to remember. Not only did some of that intervention was in the Lakers' favor. There was a lot of free agents that probably could have got bigger contracts elsewhere that took contracts with the Lakers because they were part of Clutch and they had such a good relation with the Lakers. So the framing of that, people also got to remember, Clutch did us a couple solids by giving us some pretty decent players and not just assume it was just all one-sided for LeBron.
When Rich took on Anthony Davis as a client, and AD at the time was considered a top 5 league-wide player, top 10 at
easily
worst,
at that time.
when that is that he was healthy, which was even a concern all the way back then when he was still early on in his career with the New Orleans Pelicans. But it wouldn't be long after Rich took AD on as
the size of AD back then. Look how skinny that man was. Flying, jumping, high flying. That dude ballooned as soon as he became a Laker. After that year we won the ring, after that he was just a full-fledged center. Like, that man put on some big boy weight after that. It was definitely not as mobile, getting hurt all the time. I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but it sure appeared that way. I don't know, just something I've always noticed, and it seems like more people are pointing that out too. I mean,
he would mysteriously demand a trade out of New Orleans, and not just demand a trade, but he was demanding a trade specifically and only to the LA Lakers, of course, LeBron's team at the time. And lo and behold, once AD arrived in Tinseltown, that's when the magic happened in year 2 of the LeBron James tenure.
Yeah.
So I can see why Jeanie might be a little off-put that LeBron is seen as the Lakers' savior. Really, it could be Anthony Davis, which should be viewed as the Lakers' savior if we're looking at one of those two players as such.
Either way, AD came with LeBron. They were both really tight, like same management. Without LeBron, who knows if we even get AD? So who cares who's responsible for what, as long as we got that ring? That should be all that matters. All this other stuff is just distraction. I don't care what they say.
Because it was AD who, yes, ever so slightly, but still led the Lakers in scoring that season, their championship run, both in the regular season and in the postseason. He led the Los Angeles Lakers in win shares in both the regular season and the postseason, and that was while he was anchoring their near league best defense. AD finished second league-wide in Defensive Player of the Year voting that season, and as a result, Davis doesn't really get enough credit for that championship I think that he deserves. And it was LeBron James and Rich Paul who ended up bringing AD there, I suppose. So LeBron should get some credit there in pulling the strings of his puppet, Rich Paul, and having him facilitate that trade of AD out of New Orleans to Los Angeles, getting us to a second point that was...
There were so many other teams that had way more to offer, and because we had that relationship with LeBron, with Rich Paul, who is managing Anthony Davis, they're able to maneuver themselves and say, hey, we're only willing to go here. That is such a big factor into why this whole thing went down. There's no way New Orleans wanted to continue to trade with the Lakers. They were trying to do everything they could to not deal with the Lakers. They're really downplaying the amount of impact LeBron coming to the Lakers really had in winning the ring, getting AD, and all these other things that went really well for them since LeBron's been there. It's honestly been all because of that. Because honestly, the upper management also, without LeBron getting us AD and Rob Pelinka being gifted Luka, what else have they done? What else has he done? There's nothing to say that our upper management would have been able to figure out without LeBron all these other pieces to put a championship team together. We would have been stuck with pretty good NBA starters, but not championship. We'd have been stuck with Brandon Ingram, Julius Randle, D'Angelo Russell, Lonzo Ball, Josh Hart. Mind you, really good role players. All really good role players. Kyle Kuzma, Jordan Clarkson, don't let me miss out on those guys. Really good role players, but we would have not been a championship level team. I'm sorry. There's just no way.
Revealed by Baxter Holmes in this ESPN article that Jeanie Buss felt that Rich Paul and Clutch Sports exerted too much control and was putting too much pressure on the Lakers organization throughout the tenure of LeBron James. And yes, surprise, surprise, all the things we've been saying, alluding, referencing to all of these years, all being confirmed within this report by Holmes from Jeanie Buss. That Clutch exerted too much pressure and control on the Lakers organization. Yeah, of course they do. It is a massive conflict of interest, whatever LeBron James's connections are to Clutch Sports, or I should say, whatever his tangible impact is on them. We know that he is running it behind the scenes. It is well known throughout NBA circles that LeBron James has and continues to do all of the recruiting for Clutch, that he is the mouthpiece of Clutch throughout the NBA. And sure, it did benefit the LA Lakers. Of course, I just got done highlighting how Rich Paul and LeBron James helped facilitate the trade of Anthony Davis to the Lakers, which ultimately put them over the top to get that championship.
And don't forget that first domino. That first domino was KCP, right? So before LeBron even showed up, we overpaid for KCP, doing Clutch a solid, making sure we take care of their clients. And when that relationship started to develop and starting to have this understanding of you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours, that's when those dominoes started falling. LeBron followed, AD followed, and then all these other Clutch clients that were on these show me contracts started to fall. If they ever couldn't find a spot on any other team, cool, go to the Lakers. That's all part of this LeBron umbrella that they need to make sure that they're not forgetting when they're telling this story. LeBron did have a big part of it. I'm sorry. That's just, facts are facts.
In the 2020 Disney bubble, LeBron's fourth and still his final NBA championship to this point of his career. So while the Lakers felt the tangible benefits of that impact of Clutch, in that specific instance, they have been suffering by and large throughout LeBron's entire 8-year tenure because of it, most notably in the Russell Westbrook deal, which was also cited prominently within this article from Baxter Holmes.
LeBron tried to wash his hands off of that one.
LeBron and his team had an overwhelming lack of accountability for that Westbrook deal, basically putting the entire thing on LeBron's shoulders, that it was essentially his plan to bring in Russell Westbrook, and that, of course, was a
Who remembers the meetings that they were having? LeBron and AD having these meetings with Russell Westbrook in hotel lobbies or whatever. Pictures were being leaked. There's no way that anybody can convince. There's no way LeBron could say he had nothing to do with it. Maybe he was just hoping that Rob Pelinka would have more to do with it than what they did, instead of trying to say like, oh, well, this is what LeBron wanted, so that's why we did it. At the end of the day, Rob Pelinka, you're the GM, president of basketball operations. You're the one that ultimately had to make that decision. Should have broke it down and told them why, all these reasons why they couldn't do it. But, I get it. Sometimes the team's got to cater to their stars, and the Lakers, above anybody, is used to doing that.
That LeBron totally flipped and turned on Russ and scapegoated him out of town, something Russell Westbrook spoke about off the record. in the summer and talking about what a snake LeBron James was. Again, all the things we have known for years, all now coming out. This is what happens, LeBron, when you overstay your welcome. Things apparently reached such a low point and a boiling point within the organization that Jeanie Buss actually considered trading LeBron James all the way back in 2022, and even floated the possibility of it being to the Clippers within the organization. The article goes on to highlight how Jeanie Buss didn't even really want to give LeBron his last extension, but did so essentially because she feared bad PR. And look, I'm not suggesting that Jeanie Buss is too, and even floated the possibility of it being to the Clippers within the organization. The article goes on to highlight how
this is all cap.
Jeanie Buss didn't even really want to give LeBron his last extension, but did so essentially because she feared bad PR. And look, I'm not suggesting that Jeanie Buss is a good owner or that any of the Buss contingent was good at owning this team outside of the late, great Dr. Jerry Buss, but this is a damning article nonetheless, because Jeanie Buss did have the controlling ownership stakes of a team that LeBron James has spent 8 years with, and we thought, allegedly, that maybe just the relationship between those two is what kept him there as long as he has been there. But now it appears that that isn't the case, and it hasn't been the case all along. The final nail in the coffin, I guess, between LeBron and Jeanie in their relationship was the fact that, according to this article, Jeanie Buss felt LeBron wasn't anywhere near grateful enough for the organization drafting his scrub son, Bronny. Because, of course, remember that he applied significant pressure on the franchise to...
Hold on. Is LeBron trying to imply that he did not care whether the Lakers drafted Bronny or not? Is that what this guy is trying to tell me right now? Is that what LeBron is trying to put out there behind the scenes? That's ridiculous. There's no way. People, I know I didn't forget watching the draft that year, how there were calls being made, or at least reports of calls being made behind the scenes that Bronny and his camp were threatening to go overseas if any other team but LA drafted him. And LeBron's trying to say he had nothing to do with that. Nothing at all. I'm not going to fully take that for what this guy, there's no way LeBron's trying to perceive that or trying to portray that behind the scenes. That'd be ridiculous if that's true. The internet's around. There's no way that people forgot that.
Draft Bronny, a guy who has no business being in the NBA still to this day. Exactly. He's now in his second season, by the way, with the Lakers.
On a full NBA contract at that.
Buss felt as if that was a significant gesture towards LeBron James, one that he just kind of shrugged off and felt entitled to. Again, none of this should come as a surprise to anybody. And ultimately, the final takeaway from this article is that LeBron James's outsized ego just tore the Lakers ownership group and the franchise apart over the last 8 years. Wow. Was it worth it, Jeanie and co? Was it worth it throwing your father's legacy down the drain to bring this snake in and to...
We have a ring out of this. Are you insane? And if the disappointment is coming at the fact that we don't have more rings, is more so on the Lakers front office more than it is LeBron the player. That's ridiculous. We got a ring. And ever since that ring, there's always been just one. People haven't been going back to back in years. So if LeBron has been a failure for this in the Lakers upper management eyes, so has the Joker, so has Kawhi, all these other people, so has Giannis, all these other people that have just won one ring, not back to back, just like LeBron did with the Lakers. That's insane to say that he's a snake, made a mistake. Never. We got a ring out of it. That's all that matters at the end of the day. That's all Laker fans care about. That's crazy to say.
Steal one shallow and hollow, undeserved championship in the flukish bubble on the Disney campus after a 3-month stoppage in play due to a global pandemic. One championship, that's it, for the alleged GOAT. In 8 years now and counting, the Lakers, over that span of time, have a cumulative record in the regular season of just 330 and 267. That is approximately a 55% winning percentage. It extrapolates out to 45 wins per season throughout LeBron's tenure with the Los Angeles Lakers. That is while playing with a top 10 league-wide player in Anthony Davis for the majority of his tenure, and then trading him for Luka Doncic, a top 3 or 4 league-wide player, playing roughly 500 basketball over that span of time. All the while, they have been out of the first round of the playoffs just 2 times. Twice.
Yeah,
that's
bad.
it. Meaning in the previous 7 full seasons, which LeBron has completed with the Lakers, they have not won a single playoff series in 5 of the 7 seasons. All of this while his outsized ego destroys the franchise. Again, I say in one single word, yikes, LA Lakers franchise, and yikes to LeBron James. Again, this guy could have retired years ago. Instead,
He's still putting up really good numbers, though. There's no way you can fully say that this guy doesn't have any more basketball in him left. I understand that he's not the same player he was in 2020 when we won that championship, but to fully just discard this guy and put all the blame on him as if our team, as if he's the GM every summer, he's the one doing the draft picks. He's the one that picked Jalen Hood-Schifino as opposed to like, who was there? The Pajemski, Jaime Jaquez, who's the guy that got sent to Washington? Cam Whitmore, like any of these guys, drafting Dalton Connect, and that none of that shit is on LeBron. That's all the front office. LeBron has been honestly the bright spot to a lot of this stuff. Like, don't get me wrong, there are points where he's definitely a pain in the ass, where he's definitely like whining through the media and doing, LeBron weird stuff. But at the end of the day, LeBron's just a player. He wants to win. He definitely tries to put pressure on organizations to always put their foot on the gas to continue to win every year. He doesn't like it when people forfeit years or whatever. I like that. I want people who are trying to win every year, I've never had any issues with that. But there's no way we can just fully say LeBron's tenure as a Laker has been a mistake and to blame him for our 50-50 record throughout the years that he's been here. That's not all on him. There's no way. That's, if anything, that's a reflection on Rob Pelinka more than anybody. Totally different story on another day.
Limps along in the league, trying to puff his stats and his counting numbers to try to chase down a ghost in Chicago that he never realistically could have ever caught, and he just keeps getting further and further away now because all of the things are now coming out. All of the stuff which we have been saying and alluding and speculating to for years are coming out, and now this latest article, which doesn't come out without the implicit support and involvement of the Lakers franchise, and in particular Jeanie Buss, who again is still the acting governor of this team. What does that tell me? It says that the Lakers are thoroughly and utterly disgusted and fed up with this guy, and they want to move him ASAP.
That's a little strong, but what I can say is you can tell that there are points during this season, this 2025-26 season, where they are just not gelling, where it looks like they just do not like to play with each other. And it looks like they're just trying to get past this year before they really get to any serious team building chemistry. It feels like this team is just trying to get this year over with. And you could see it on the court when their effort is up and down all the goddamn time, and the coach doesn't even know what to say anymore. He's just kind of like, contract's up at the end of the year. You know how that goes. You can tell that that's weighing on them, and, it's pretty obvious LeBron does play a big factor in that.
As quickly as possible, hopefully and ideally by this trade deadline, which is looming now. It comes on February 5th at 3 p.m. So we are right now,
He's
it's
not gonna get
January
traded.
21st. We're like 3 weeks away from that. So this article may be to grease the tracks and facilitate something. As I look around, oh gee, what happened in the NBA
He has
this
a no
week of
trade
note?
clause.
Well, Jimmy Butler
He's
went
not
down with
going
a
anywhere.
season-ending ACL injury, and now Steph Curry, who is having a great season. He's starting in the All-Star game this year. Well, he's turning 38 in March of this year, and this is maybe one of his last good looks at it. And they desperately need to make some kind of a splashy trade now that they lost Jimmy Butler. Again, the Golden State Warriors have been circling around a potential LeBron trade for a couple years now, if you believe the reports. And look at LeBron James now being burned by the Lakers organization via this ESPN article by Baxter Holmes. Maybe that will be the last straw to break the camel's back and make LeBron finally want to get out of LA, because it appears
LeBron and Jeanie, they're going to touch base with each other. They're going to kumbaya with each other. They're going to pretty much figure out what's best for LeBron in the summertime. Let that play out. They're going to offer him a discounted contract. He's probably going to say no. And then, boom, he's probably just going to go back to Cleveland. That's the most likely scenario in all this. There's no way he's going to get traded at the trade deadline. Unrealistic. He has a no trade clause. And unless he's going to go to a team like Golden State, which he may want to go play at, you just don't give him away for nothing. For what? Like, there is no point in that.
appears as if he's the one that has been holding himself there, at least for a couple of seasons now. Perhaps this will be the final straw for him, and he will agree to waive that no trade clause, and we will be looking at some kind of a bombshell trade coming now for the second year in a row. Last year, again, it was Anthony Davis being traded out of LA and bringing Luke Seasons. Now, perhaps this will be the final straw for him, and he will agree to waive that no trade clause, and we will be looking at some kind of a bombshell trade coming now for the second year in a row. Last year, again, it was Anthony Davis being traded out of LA and bringing Luka Doncic in. Perhaps this year we will get LeBron James being traded out of Los Angeles to team up with Steph Curry. Oh my, what a tangled web we weave here in the NBA. The hot stove is heating up off the court like it can only do in the NBA and no other sport. Guys, make sure that you are subscribed to stay up to date with more from me, and turn on those notifications to get all of the breaking NBA news as it comes. Until next time, guys.
All right. Let me know what you guys think. Where does LeBron end up? Do you think that this report of this turmoil within the organization is legitimate? I personally do not think so. Give LeBron his flowers. He brought us a ring. I personally don't like the blame just getting thrown on him. I think that's pretty weak, considering I think that kind of takes the accountability off of the front office, because they definitely deserve a whole lot of it based on how poor they constructed this roster. They should have known right off the bat Russell Westbrook wasn't going to gel with LeBron and AD. You kind of need shooting with those guys right away. They should have known that. And as the GM, you tell LeBron, I'm sorry, I know this is what you want, but this is what the numbers show, and it's not going to work. And you just end it there. LeBron at that point would have been, what, 2-3 years younger at that point? If he walks, he walks. It's not the end of the world. But anywho, you guys let me know what you think. Leave it below in the comments. I appreciate you guys watching. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.